Note, this video uses a 97 Ford Windstar, but the principles would apply to any similar vehicle. First thing we need to do is evaluate the problem, then decide how and what to test, and finally follow the evidence and let it lead you to the problem. If we have this complaint that the engine runs hot at idle and at stoplights, but it cools normally while driving, and the coolant level is full, what could the problem be? In order to develop your critical thinking skills, don't just watch and learn. Think and learn. Use your critical thinking skills. First, a quick review. How an automotive cooling system works. Air is pushed in as you drive, and this is called ram air. The pump circulates water through the jacket to cool the cylinders. The fan draws in more air, either mechanically or electronically, when needed. Think about this. If it cools normally while driving, the coolant level must be okay, right? Why? Driving has more load than idling. More load equals more heat, and it cools normally with more load or driving. If it cools normally while driving, the coolant level must be okay. If the coolant level is not the problem, what else could it be? Now remember, the fan draws in more air either mechanically or electronically when needed. It could be done mechanically. A car's fan is designed to enhance the radiator's cooling efficiency by pulling extra air through the radiator at low vehicle speeds and idle. These are mechanical fan clutches. They rely on mechanical energy from the engine, which it creates the extra load. And the other method is electronically. An electric fan completely removes the mechanical load of spinning the fan from the engine. It does place an additional load on the electrical system, but this is a more efficient means of spinning a fan, and it has a smaller impact on the engine drag. If the electric fan is the problem, how do we check it? Always review the electrical diagram. Here it is. Why are there two fans? One is for the radiator and one is for the condenser. That means each can be controlled independently. Each have their own ground. As long as the motors have continuity, the ground will pass through to the open and the PCM input. Remember, continuity means whatever comes to it passes right through it. What if the motors were bad and did not have continuity? What is a quick test? To test them, let's unplug them and give each motor power, and that way we can rule out that the motor is the problem. So we're going to power the fans directly. Very easy to do with the power probe. We just put a ground on one side. We'll get a contact there. Give it power and the fan runs. So the fan, that fan is good. The low fan is good. We'll do the same thing on the high side. Go down here. Powered up, and the high side fan runs. So we unplugged each fan and gave each fan direct power, and each fan ran, so the fans themselves are not the fault. If the fans are good and run with power and ground, what do we do next? The power side. Let's look at the power side. As long as there is continuity in the wire, the power will pass through to the open. Now watch closely. The middle line has a dropping resistor that resists or slows the voltage. We can see that the power stops at the relays. and the relays are controlled by the relay control and the PCM. So let's see if power is going through the relays.
Of course, the first thing you always do is check your fuses. There is a fuse for the high side and the low side, and they're both good. We want to see if the computer is commanding these fans on. So we've got a low and a high. We're going to the high side. We've unplugged it from the fan. Simple 2-wire. We're on the ground side, so we've got a good ground. We're going to go to the hot side, and now we'll command it on with the scan tool, and you can see that it lights up and shows that we do have power. So the high side is working. It's got a ground and the computer is commanding it on. And we go to the low side. At the low side, it's the same way. We have a ground. We go to the other wire. We command it on with the scan tool. And there's no response. So if you look at your wiring diagram, the low side, this power comes through the cooling fan dropping resistor, not from the computer. The high side gets it from the computer. The low side goes through a dropping resistor. That's how they get the low speed. So we don't have anything here. We've got to go back to the dropping resistor to see what's going on there.
So the evidence is leading us to the cooling fan dropping resistor is bad. Let's take a look at it and see if we can tell why.
The cooling fan dropping resistor is located in a kind of a difficult spot, hard to see and hard to find. But if you look straight on down here, you can see it. It's located kind of behind the headlight, tucked away, actually screwed down to the frame with a 1 number 8 bolt. But you can see it. And if you come here, you can see back this way where the wiring connector is for it, located right here. And then the wires tuck up underneath the frame. As you follow your wires back, you'll see that the cooling fan dropping resistor is located down here. I'll show you in a minute. But here's your connector for it. Again, look at your diagram. You'll see the black with orange and the brown with orange. The black with orange is hot. That comes from the fuse, goes through that dropping resistor into the brown with orange, and then to the fan itself. The cooling fan dropping resistor is located, it's kind of behind the headlight, but it's hard to see and hard to find. But that's it you're looking at. There's a number 8 bolt that holds it down. And the plug-in, when I wiggle it, you can see that we can actually go down here. And get it out. And here it is. You can see the problem with it. A bad cooling fan dropping resistor. We're going to verify our repair here, and if you look at our wiring diagram, the power comes from the fuse, goes down to that cooling fan dropping resistor, and then the power goes to the motor. So we're going to check it here. We've got ground on one side, we have nothing on the other side, but now we're going to command it on with the computer with the scan tool. There's a little bit of a delay, and then it comes on. So now we know that we're getting power through that dropping resistor to the motor. So anytime you're trying to track down an electrical problem, get out your wiring diagram, follow it. It's a map to how the circuit should run. And just like here, follow your circuit and you can find and fix your problem.